Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another show, another live show of Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello. What's up, Papo?
Good morning, good afternoon to the world. We hope you're all doing well. We hope you're all safe. And today we have a very interesting show because the professor is going to speak about retailers. The professor.
Hello, everybody, all over the world. Melanie.
Hi.
Papo. Jeremiah.
Hey, Papo. Hi, Melanie.
What's up? You know, I was worried. 3 days without knowing about you, I get worried, but okay, no problema. So today we're going to talk about retailers. The things that happen in stores. So Carlito and I, we've been doing this for a long time. We visit a lot of shops. I think I visit a little bit more of shops than Carlito has because Carlito was running the factories and the farms and doing a whole bunch of things. But we both have been out there a lot. We've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we've seen really great shops. We've seen shops that are okay. But at the end of the day, let's talk about what makes a retailer successful. It is a person that understands that smoking is an experience. A person that can deal with people, with women, with old timers, with the young generation, the guy that comes in for the first time and asks for a cigar. Instead of giving something that's been sitting there for 3 years and he can't get rid of it, a smart retailer will give him a couple of nice, mild Connecticut cigars, show him how to cut the cigar, tell him what to look in for, and tell him come back in a couple of weeks. And if you feel that you're missing something, then we have to go from mild to medium. Then invite him to events, put him on his mailing list, and when he goes into the shop, make him feel part of the camaraderie that goes into the shop. Now that's a successful guy. Now the guy that's unsuccessful, that is bitching and moaning all day long about the internet and so was his customer and put 3 blocks away his shop, those are people that will continually be miserable and go out of business. That's the guy that when the woman goes in looking for a cigar for the husband, the first thing is going to give her attitude. That's the guy that's going to go, when the young kid that goes in, that just graduated from college, that wants to try a cigar. Types of people who have been successful, people who open a store and 9 to 10 months later, they're out of it. Because like Carlito says, and I'm a big believer in Jeremiah too, this sometimes is not even about the dollars and cents and the cigars. It's about the love, the passion, what you're willing to do to educate people. I can imagine how many times Carlito, which has a longer line of people when he's anywhere than me, that he takes his time to take that photo, to sign that box, to give that person a hug. And he's good with memories. Even if he's almost 85 years old, he remembers a lot of names. But at the end of the day, it's all about that. So Carlito, tell us a couple of your experiences in shops. We'll talk about the good ones, then we'll go to the bad ones, which there's never a bad one.
No, I totally agree with everything you say. I think it's more of when you walk into a smoke shop, you're looking for more than just a product of the purchase. You're looking for a personal experience. You're looking for guidance. You're looking for confidence in the person that's going to serve you. I really believe, the most important thing for me, if I were to own a smoke shop or walk into a smoke shop for the first time, I would look and see if the cleanliness, how clean it is. If you have a lot of ashtrays that have been around for probably hours full of ashes and cigar butts laying there, that's a no-no. But I basically believe that when you walk in, you want the attention of the owner. It's very much like a restaurant. That the owner, the chef, the sommelier, it's about building relationships. And I think people go back to smoke shops because they're going back to communicating with a family member, because it becomes like a family with time. You get to know the members of that community, and you're able to share ideas, and you end up talking about your day-to-day challenges, your family, your work. And I think it's more than just a product itself. I know that there's so many great products to choose from, and it's very confusing to a consumer when he walks in. That's why I think the most important thing initially is the store manager or the owner that's there is to have one-on-one, try to build a one-on-one open relationship with the person when he walks in, make them feel welcome and part of home. Introduce them, maybe if it's him or her, to the people who are sitting in the lounge, and welcome them and make them feel part of the community. To me, that's the most important thing, other than the selection of cigars and everything, is to know that that consumer, when he walks in, he's going somewhere he could feel confident and welcome.
Absolutely. That's exactly how it was. My experience was, that's really what got me into cigars. It was one part with cigars, but mainly it's the people that I was hanging out with, and the events, and the camaraderie around it.
Exactly. That's what I feel. I think that's really the most important thing. And if you look at the smoke shops that have been around for a long time and successful, they're the ones that personally give you hands-on, hands-on attention and care and welcome you back. And I think it's important for them to introduce you to everyone that's there, and for you to become a friend. And you would want to go back. That you want to go back, and you want to feel that friendship and that community that's so special about being part of a group of people that enjoy the same things in life.
No, I agree.
Well, I hear that there's very funny stuff going on in the shops. Tell us a few stories, Professor, of things that you've witnessed going on in the retail stores, which could put a smile on our faces, or a frown, maybe.
I'm going to tell a story that I've told. I wish I had $10 for every time I've told it. I think it's the funniest story. It happened in Providence, Rhode Island, at a shop that was called, it's still around there, but not the original owners, Matt and Richard, Mr. Cigar. So they're brother-in-laws, and this kid comes in, just graduated out of college, and he buys a humidor, and he buys a couple of boxes of cigars. So the kid pays, comes back 2 days later with the humidor totally destroyed.
Oh my God.
Matt is like 5'2", Italian, looks like a bouncer. And he says, "What the fuck did you do?" And the kid goes, "Nothing, Matt, nothing. Did you follow the instructions?" "Yes." "What did the instructions say?" "Well, it said soak in water." "What did you do?" "Well, I opened up the bathtub and I put the humidor in it."
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Completely destroyed. And Matt sold them a humidor at cost. And I think he told them, "Don't you ever come back here." I mean, that's the craziest one that I've heard. The other one that I've heard is that I was in Connecticut, and this store owner tells me, "This man wants to really meet you because he has a problem with his humidor." And I said, "Yeah, people bring me humidors, they bring me cigars, they bring me Cuban cigars to say if it's fake or this or that." So the guy comes in with a beautiful humidor. I don't remember the brand. It seemed the guy had money because he drove up in I think it was a Maserati or something like that. So he says, "Oh, Mr. Blanco, it's very nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you. I follow you on Facebook. I've seen your videos." He said, "I have a problem with my humidor." And I said, "Okay, can you open it up?" So when I opened it up, I see the hydrometer was at 90. So I said, "But this is totally wrong. What have you been doing? I mean, look, you've got all these great cigars. Look, you've got this brand, you've got this brand, you've got this." He says, "Yeah, I don't get it. my humidor was working correct, but then somebody told me to use the Bovita packs. And I said, yeah, the Bovita works well. What did you do? He says, well, I opened it up and I sprayed the cigars with it.
Oh, no.
Oh my God.
You know, I could go on for a while, but it's crazy. But look, going back to normal things, what I've seen and learned is that the cigar shop is sacred. For the guy that's single, that's his home. For the guy that's married, that's his second home. I know cigar shops that for the owners to go to the show, they have guys that each day, customers, run the cashier, run the store, and worry more about that shop than the owners. But you know how you get that? Treating your customers well. Hi, Mike, how are you today? You want some coffee? What do you want? Your regular stuff. We have this that came in. But if you're the guy that has a shop and the guy walks in the morning or in the afternoon and you can't say good morning or good afternoon or how you doing or how's the dog, how's your wife, you're never going to build up that relationship. I've always said that if you don't like to talk to people, don't be in the retail business. I've walked into shops and you would think the guy's mother just died or his wife ran away with the mailman. They're miserable. They're complaining. So people don't, I mean, Carlito, you're laughing, but it's fucking true, man.
I'm just thinking probably both. The poor guy, man. Both things happen.
All right, we want to hear from some of the attendees out there. I know that we have shopkeepers watching the show. I know that we have consumers watching this show, and I would love for any of you guys to raise your hands on the chat panel or to send us a little message, and we will pull you on. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear any of the anecdotes, anything funny which has been an experience with you shopping in a store or as a retailer. Put your hands up and we'll pull you onto the show so you can have some, you can tell everybody else about your experiences. That would be funny.
They are funny.
You know, the other thing that I always tell the guys that open a new store is, okay, I just moved here. Tell me why I should come and buy cigars here. First thing out of their mouth, I got great prices. And I go like, strike one. If I want great prices, I'll go to the internet. Tell me why I should come here. They go, well, look at these TVs and look at these couches. And I go like, strike two. So-and-so, his couches are better, bigger, and his TVs have like 10 more inches than yours. Give me a reason to come here. They go like, well, tell me what. I said, this is not about the cutters, the lighters, the cigars, the couches. It's about the experience. It's about the camaraderie. It's about making friends. This is the most unique industry in the world where you're going to have a CEO, a doctor, a CFO, a banker, a guy who's flipping burgers, a tailor, a guy who's cleaning, mopping in a store. We're all sitting down. And it doesn't matter if you're black or white or if you're a Jew or if you're a Catholic or an Orthodox, whatever it is, nobody really cares. At the end of the day, it's all about love, camaraderie, feeling good, feeling great, and just having a great time.
Yes.
Papo, what do you think?
Absolutely. No, there's no question about it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I haven't had the experiences that you have in smoke shop because usually when I'm in a smoke shop is for an event or a fundraiser. But I'm telling you, I could just spend the rest of my week listening to stories that you must have experienced. It's amazing, but you're absolutely right. You know, it's all about relationships. It's about building that relationship. It's about giving kindness. And it's no different than anywhere else. When you walk in some place, it's not about the price. It's not about how big your TV set is. It's about the people that are there, the people who visit there, and the friendships that you're going to build. And I think that's something that is priceless. It is not something you could buy in a catalog. It's something that you have to experience one-on-one, that heartfelt relationship. I mean, those are the things that build memories that last a lifetime. And, to me, that's what life is all about. And that's one special thing about a smoke shop or a cigar lounge, that you can find those relationships. And that, to me, that's the most important thing, other than price and, other aspects.
Yeah, I used to invite people. They would walk in. Of course, we live in Naples, so a lot of people travel from the north, and they'd come down here and they'd just walk in. And the first time that they would walk in was like, it was like they didn't know what they were looking at. They were just like, oh my God. They look like they're just not even sure. So I would invite them in and I would ask them if this is their first time. And then they would be like, yes, I've just moved here, or some of them just visiting. And I'm just like, oh, well, welcome to paradise. Let me show you around. Oh, they loved it. That was my favorite part, was getting to meet all the new friends. And then once I gave them a cigar and got them everything, I would go over to the circle and I would look at all the guys and I'd be like, hey guys, I'm like, meet my new friend. And then they'd sit down and before you know it, they were another.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's exactly what it's all about. That's beautiful. Absolutely.
Amazing. All right. Now it's time to get you guys on the show. Let's start with Alex. Alex, tell us the story that kicked your boot.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing?
How you doing?
Everybody's great, brother. How are you?
I'm great. So, Jose knows my old boss, Trey. Trey's Zamet in Toronto. Shout out to Trey. I want to say that. He taught me a lot of good things. So I was working at his shop one day, and a customer came in. He was about middle age, and he already knew what he wanted, right? So he was talking about how much he loves Monte Cristo, comes in, takes the cigar, walks around the humidor with it, and we're talking, and he licks the cap of the cigar. And, oh my God, how much I love those cigars. And then he says, but you know what? I feel like for something different today. And just as he's about to put the cigar back in the box, I had to stop the guy. So the guy didn't know. He just walking around the humidor, puts the cigar without the cellophane, puts the wrapper in his mouth, the cap of the cigar in his mouth, and then chooses he wants to change cigars that day. And he's about to put it back in the box. I had to stop the guy for the cigar.
Oh. This is like a pre-COVID world.
It was funnier when I was there, but I was astonished how somebody could just, not think about that, right? He put a cigar in his mouth, put it back in the box.
Oh my goodness. All right. Thanks for sharing that with us, Alex.
I just remembered one story. I don't have many stories like that, like Jose, because like I said, I don't go in smoke shops that often. And mostly for events and things like that, which people are already expecting me and knowing me and their Fuente events. But I remember being in one place and walking into a smoke shop and so forth, and I had a couple of cigars in my pocket, and I was smoking Fuente Pasex. And the gentleman said, oh, I've never seen that cigar. What a beautiful band and this and that. I love Cuban cigars. All I smoke Cuban cigars. And I have all this big collection and so forth. And he says, oh man, I'd like to try them, but the store didn't have any. And I asked the store owner, of course, I always ask permission. I said, do you mind if I give your customer one of my cigars? And he said, no, of course, feel free, Carlito. No, it's fine. The cigar was a little Power Ranger, extra third power. The cigar has a ribbon on it. The man gets the cigar, he clips it, he lights a cigar, that ribbon flames up, and he's smoking the cigar with the ribbon on it. He's smoking the ribbon, and he's saying, man, this is a hell of a good cigar. So I think we all had kind of stories like those, man. That guy with a ribbon with his flaming up on fire. He's going to burn the place down. The guy that's smoking along, he said, man, what a great cigar.
Yeah, it's funny that Carlito mentions that, because these things happened to me in New England. I was in a shop one day, and this guy, I'm not going to say the brand, picks up a cigar, had cedar on it, and pays for it, and he sits there, and I'm looking at him, but then I got distracted, and all of a sudden, I'm smelling this, and I'm looking, and the owner says, shh, hold. Like, out of your mind. And the guy's, he's doing like this. He's like all time of faces. And I tell the owner, hey, come on. He says, no, hold it just a couple of more minutes. Let me take a photo of this. I said, I can't believe you're doing this. So I said, I can't stand it anymore. I said, hey, young man, can I have the cigar a minute? And he looks at me kind of weird, like, you know, like, what, you're gonna... Let me explain this to you. This is cedar. This is put into the cigar to give him some notes and to also conserve it. So when you're gonna smoke a cigar, you have to take the cedar. And the kid looks at the owner and says, "You want
Yeah. Man, I tell you, the shop owner's lucky the sprinkler system didn't go off and ruin the whole shop. That cedar, when it burns fast. Oh my God! Yeah.
All right, let's get Fabian Carlo on. Fabian, you got a little story for us as well, don't you?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Everybody hears me.
How's it
Hey,
going?
Fabian, how are you?
Hi, Carlito, Jeremiah, Jose. Hello. All good?
Hey, we're good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
So, yes, I have quite a funny story. But first of all, I would like to say that in this peculiar industry, like Jose often says, is very special because we are talking about taste, and taste drives to intimity, which means that unconsciously the customers, they are talking about themselves. And that's the reason the cigar retailers sometimes, and I would say even many times, they have a close relationship to them faithful customers, because they are all talking about themselves. And again, I can repeat what you all say all times. It's about people, and this is exactly what it is. So, well, now my story. It's Christmas Day. Of course, shop is crowded, full of people, and it was snowy. In Belgium, it's snowy sometimes in Christmas. And the guy ride his bike 30 kilometers to come to my shop. So he waits his turn and he's asking for Davidoff cigars. And he's sure that he needs Davidoff cigars. He doesn't want any advice, any help. And then I show the cigars and I say, here they are. And okay, you are so sure. Can I know? Oh, I need these cigars for my piano. I said, I'm sorry. Yes, my astrologue told me I have absolutely to buy cigars and I have to put one per one in my piano, and my piano will get the best sound ever, and I will become a great pianist. That's the story.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet.
That was very good, Fabian. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right. I think Mitchie has something to say here. Hold on, there we go. All right, Mitchie, you're on.
Hey, hi.
Hi, Mitchie. Hi, Mitchie.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you, sweetie.
Good to have you on the show again, Mitchie.
So, of course, Carlito knows Franklin, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I just wanted to say I've been to many, many cigar shops, across the Eastern Seaboard, and that place, every time I go, he makes me feel like family. Every time I go there, he's like, Richie! And, you know, so warm, such a warm place to be. He makes you feel like you are a rock star when you go there. And I wanted to share that with everyone. You know, he went through a tragedy this past year, where a fire broke out on the top and floor of his shop, and he's in the middle of remodeling, but I wanted to send him some love through here as well, because I know he listens to the show. And I know that he has a special place in Carlito's heart too, because he works at the
Carlito's old
factory.
son.
He's just a boatload of fun and awesome personality, and that's one of the cigar shops I do have to say that I feel the most at home, and I hope people come and visit him too when he's open.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you so
That's beautiful,
much,
Mitchie. Yeah,
No,
that's
it's wonderful. And again, a beautiful example of how this whole industry just brings everybody together and creates another home. I mean, earlier on, I think the professor was explaining how for single people, the cigar shop was a home. For people that have a home, it's a second home. I would almost call it, Professor, with your permission, I would almost call it a sanctuary. And yeah, another example of how important that is, not only for ourselves, but for absolutely everybody to be able to walk into a place and feel like they're loved, they're wanted, they're appreciated, and all that around a good cigar. And this is what cigars do. Cigars does a lot more than one may think it does. We have so many people want to jump on here. Let's get Rich here. Rich, you had something to say. You're on the air, Rich.
I had to hit that unmute button. Everything is good here, and there's a couple of things. Speaking of good shops, Carlito has a backdrop there of a place that I get to maybe once a year, and whenever I walk in, that manager, Michael, comes over, gives me a handshake or a hug, gets me to a seat, asks the ladies to come and ask for my drink. It's like going home, and that's what a shop should be. As a broker on the road, I'm in 5 or more cigar shops every day until this happened, and I see some things that just blow me away. We've talked about on this show a couple of times about smelling cigars in the cello, smelling boxes, and the frequently asked question in almost every store, do you have Cubans? But the cigar shops, there are some great ones, and I'm in so many, but the one mistake that I see so often is a guy will come into a cigar store, and I'm chatting with the owner, and the guy walks into the humidor. I said, here, let me sit down out of the way, and you go into the humidor. And the cigar shop owner will say, oh, no, he knows what he wants. I said, wait a second. I know he knows what he wants, but what do you want to sell him? This is your shop. You've got stuff in there that you need to sell. Why don't you go in, help him with his normal selection, but then offer him something else? That one always drives me crazy, that they let the regulars get in and without telling them what's new and what's going on. And the other thing, when they get to the cash register, they ring up a cigar and they seem to be very happy. I said, did you ask him if he needs a new cutter, lighter? Does he need any butane? Does he need some Bovita packs? These guys let money walk out the door all the time. If there's retailers listening, you can confirm or deny, but that's my story. And someday on the show, we'll talk about how I got into the cigar business after 44 years in apparel, and how the Fuentes, Newmans, and a kid named Carl Herzog got me interested enough that when I retired from clothing, I wound up in the cigar biz. And that's it for me.
Well, thank you very much, Rich. That was beautiful, and another testament. And remember, this is all about testaments. This is all about coming forward and adding this love and this sweetness to not only to the show, but to what we're actually all trying to represent here. Thank you very much. It's appreciated. Senor Jose Brito has something to say. Jose, you're on the air.
Jose!
Hey, good morning, everybody.
How you doing?
Dime, Papo.
Hey, ¿cómo está?
Bien, hermano.
Hey. So, in sharing stories, a lot of people probably know that I used to moonlight for a while Franklin had a shop open up in PA. So, if anybody knows in the cigar industry, you know that you always run across all sorts of types of people. So, a kind of funny story I had one Saturday working at the shop. Bethlehem has a large college population of kids going there. So one night, a kid from the college comes stopping by and is looking for a smoke. Just random smoke. He's a foreign exchange student coming in, just looking for anything to smoke. So spends probably about 20, 25 minutes walking around the humidor. He must have looked at just about every single brand that you could possibly think of that we had at the shop. And he winds up grabbing a certain cigar, and all he cared about was size. He was like, I just want a small smoke. That's all, nothing big. And then he goes to look at the lighters. And you would think he'd go and probably pick out maybe like a cheap little, like $5-10 like Zippo lighter or something like that. Goes and grabs a $120 Colibri lighter. And then at last minute at the register, sees, I probably won't name the brand, but it's literally about a $3 stick, machine made. Some of us might be able to figure out which one it is. But I wound up ringing out this transaction for $120 Colibri lighter and a $3.25 cigar. And that was his smoke for the night. So just an example how you'll never know what you run across at a cigar shop. You can't hold but try not to laugh, but it's just like, what the F?
I feel like the lighter is like the car of the cigar shop. Like they buy the biggest and baddest lighter because it's like the car that they're driving.
Yeah, and then no regard for the stick. But it's that, and then, 5 minutes later, you'll have a guy walk in and go pick up a 5-pack of Opuses. It's just like that. You'll never know what you run into at a cigar shop. And I think that's what I love the most, is that every client that walks in through the door, it's always something new and it's always a new story to tell. And you'll never get that in another industry but this one. I mean, one day you'll be sitting across from an ex-NFL player, NBA player. The next day you're sitting next to a guy that works in the oil fields. It's like that. But yeah. I wouldn't trade this industry for anything else in the world.
I remember the coach came in and bought a whole bunch of cigars from us. And Mike did tonight. He comes into the shop one Saturday. I was just like, he picks out all these cigars, and then I tell him, I'm like, oh, well, you need this one and that one and this one and that one. So I like push more to him. He pulls out a textbook.
The beauty of the cigar industry. Thank you very much, young man. Next on is, she was guest of honor very, very recently, and she's got something to say. Angela, you are on the air.
She did something really cool this week. There was a bingo. We played bingo with her and JJ, and it was so much fun. That was a lot of fun.
Hello?
Great.
Angela, welcome.
Is it working?
It is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Melanie was just speaking about your bingo game. You had a bingo game?
Bingo was so much fun. Like, what else are we supposed to do during quarantine?
Melanie was just saying that she participated and she had a blast on your bingo games.
It was so great. We had people from all over. We had some guys from Canada that were playing bingo. So it was a great time. But I can't believe I'm actually awake to watch the show today. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you're up pretty early.
Like, you guys are all, it's all late by you guys, but I'm snoozing in bed and I'm definitely watching you guys from my bed today. So I just wanted to say hello and send you guys my regards. And I love your guys' show and you guys are doing awesome. And yeah.
All right. And Angela, I have a question here for the professor. And hopefully you'll be able to nail him. Let's find out.
Oh, is he here right now?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Okay, ask Jose. This is my question to nail the professor. Should I ask?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Go right ahead, Angela. Nail the professor.
Okay, Jose, this question is for you, Mr. Professor. Which Spanish scientist is accredited for introducing tobacco to Europe after his journeys into the New World? And it's because of his publications that it was so widely accepted as medicinal use.
I can answer this one. Go ahead, Professor.
And the clue is it's early 1500s and he's a Spanish scientist, not Italian.
Look, the only thing I can tell you that the guy who found the tobacco was Christopher Columbus. The scientist, maybe Jeremiah knows who it is.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and this is where the name nicotine comes from, it was Jean Nicot.
Correct.
Who?
Jean Nicot.
Oh, I was going to say Nicholas Menardis because of his
I think Carlito can elaborate on that a little bit.
I think Jeremiah is correct. I think it's where the nicotine comes from, named after him. I think Jeremiah, as far as my memory recalls, I think it's correct.
Round of applause for Jeremiah.
As far as discovering tobacco, yes, you're right, Jose. It goes way before that. It goes back to the discovery of the Caribbean of America.
Angela?
What a lot of people don't know is that the tobacco that was grown, silvestre, was something that they would make these gigantic, you could call them joints, and it would be something that they would be smoking to thank the gods for the yuca, the plátano, and all the different things. And it was done in Puerto Rico, it was done in Cuba, it was done in Dominican Republic. So it goes really way, way, way back. Where the tobacco comes from. Even though, and I've read a lot about this, a lot of people said the tobacco originated in Peru, and it came up in two different ways. One part came to Central America, and one part came to Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. So there's a theory on that also.
I think that Angela may have nailed the professor. Angela, you just won a bobblehead. Congratulations.
Did I win a bobblehead? Oh, I'm so excited. I love bobbleheads.
And it's not any bobblehead, Angela. It's a Carlito Fuente, the one and only, the original, the true bobblehead. Not the copycats, the true bobblehead.
That's like the only special bobblehead out of all the bobbleheads. Like my Carlito bobble. Let me tell you something. My Carlito bobblehead is like my Superman bobblehead that'll kick all the bobbleheads' butt.
All right, Angela. It was good having you on the show. Stay connected.
Bye.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye. Bye, Angela.
Bye.
You have a good day.
All right. Mikael Horeman has something to say. Mikael, you're on the line.
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me?
Hello.
Yes.
Everybody, yes. Hello, Mikael.
Yes.
Hello, nice to meet you. Well, I have a story about my beginnings with cigars. So I was almost something like 20, 22, and I was a student, and I had something to celebrate. The examination were done. So the guy who became my father-in-law told me, oh, I always go to one shop. My father went to that shop also since tens and tens of years. You should go there. So I went to that shop. Very sure of myself. I was asking for given cigar brands, and I was told in the guy that I will have this cigar with a good cognac or good whiskey. I don't remember, but I was very sure of myself. Between parentheses, I had no idea of what a SIPO was, so was totally beginner, but okay, something to celebrate. Then the guy was quite old. His son has the shop now. Look at me and started to talk. And he told me, no, that's not that brand that you want. And he explains to me that cigars are like women's. We need to know them. We need to respect them. We need to take our time to choose the good one. And also they are very jealous. A cigar is the same thing. So it means that you need to take your time, to take the time to learn them, and also never smoke a cigar with alcohol because they will fight against each other. And since that period, I'm regularly smoking cigars. I'm still going to the same shop, and I never had a cigar with a cognac anymore. So I think
That's beautiful.
Michael, the words you just mentioned remind me of somebody, and if I'm not mistaken, I've heard that once from a gentleman who owns the oldest humidor in Belgium, and probably one of the oldest humidors in the world. I think it's a humidor which is about 130 or 150 years old humidor. If I'm not mistaken, did it come out of that humidor?
Yeah.
Wow.
I recognize those words. All right, brother. Thank you very much for sharing that story with us.
Thanks to you.
You be well, Mikael.
All right. Excellent. I'd like to read a message out that came in from the queen, or should I say from the empress of the cigar industry, Cynthia Fuente. She wrote something absolutely beautiful, which I think pays tribute not only to all of the retailers, but all of the consumers. She says that everybody is missing their cigar shops, that they visit often, especially during this time that we are not able to go because of the circumstances, because of the virus. The cigar family misses one another, and she sends her love and her best wishes to everybody. So Cynthia, thank you very much. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Our love back to Cynthia. She's the best.
Absolutely. All right. Professor, back to you.
I have a great story to tell. And he's not in the business anymore, but Carlito knew Lionel Melendi very, very well.
Very well, yes.
Top retailers in New York. All the celebrities would go to his store to buy cigars. So Lionel told me that he learned a lesson one day. It was this Saturday. De La Concha was a very high class shop, and a lot of people would go there. So this Saturday, around 11 o'clock, this gentleman comes in, had a Yankee cap, Yankee t-shirt, and some jeans. So the guy's looking around, nobody's paying attention. But all of a sudden, when the man puts his hand down on the counter, you heard the story, Carlito?
It's either Joe Torre?
No, not that one. I know the one, no. So the guy puts his hand on the, looking at some lighters, and he had a Patek Philippe watch on it. So Lionel that was on his hurry, and he says to the man, I'm sorry, we've been very busy. And the guy says, oh yeah, don't worry, I know I just want to buy a couple of things. And Lionel says, well, okay, since I'm down here, I'm going to take care of him. So he goes over there and starts looking at the humidors. He picks up a humidor, I can't remember from what company it was. It was like $18,000, okay.
Wow.
Then he goes and picks up 2 or 3 DuPont lighters. Then he goes and picks up, it was like 7 or 8 boxes of cigars and things like that. And Lionel's saying like, God, I mean, this is great. I hope this card goes through. And I mean, you know, this is great. So when the guy brings him to the counter, Jorge, you remember Jorge that used to work at the old Cuban?
Jorge Vasquez, personalities, man, the great personalities of the industry.
They ring him up for $38,000. And the guy brings out an American Express, you know, with the black card, whatever it is, throws it. Then Lionel recognizes he was like a famous lawyer from New York. And Lionel, out of curiosity, asked him, what is this for? Is this for a party? He says, no, I'm remodeling my house in Bermuda. So it was a $38,000. But the thing was, the main thing about this is not the $38,000 or the Black American Express card. What's important is what we've always said, never judge a book by the cover. I mean, and the guy, Lionel said, I thought he was going to buy a couple of cigars. To get a $38,000 sale, I'm talking about maybe 10 or 15 years ago. That wasn't easy, brother.
At least, yeah, at least, yeah.
That's wild. That's awesome.
You know the one about Joe Torre, right?
Well, no, what I thought was you said when he put his hand down, it was a World Championship ring that he saw when he had a Yankee hat. I know Joe Torre was a regular there. And very good friends with Jorge also.
All the celebrities in New York used to go to Lionel. It was sad for all of us to see him go and all that. He had that big lawsuit that cost him that he could never win. But Lionel's good. I know his son Randy, and I know Ron. They're good people, but you know sometimes in life things happen. But that was I could remember, right, Carlito?
That was a landmark, and they were real personality, real family with a long tradition in the cigar industry. I mean, their family were cigar makers in Cuba, and they come back from long tradition. They were like family to everyone else, to all the cigar makers. They were an extension of the family, and very special and real personalities that everybody just loved to go there. Jorge was, you know, everybody knew him. You know, it's one of the places that you go to that everybody is just smiling and hugging, and it was always full of people, always.
I got a good anecdote for you guys. So back in the day, this is going back, probably about over 25 years ago. I was studying in London, and I was working in the cigar stores to try to make a bit of pocket money, you know, to pay for the going out or whatever it was I was doing in those days. And I was working at JJ Fox's on German Street and Harrods, and once in a while in Selfridges, and then a few other stores in London. And one day at JJ Fox's, a gentleman walks in from, I think it was Japan, and wants to buy a bunch of Cuban cigars to take back to Japan. And back in those days, I was a bit of a firecracker, and I said, "Oh, you got to taste something else. Maybe you don't know. This is over 25 years ago, over 25 years. Taste something with Cameroon wrapper. Taste Arturo Fuente cigars." These had just been introduced in London, if my memory serves me correctly. And the gentleman sat down, and he said, "Okay." He tasted I think it was a Hemingway short story, if I wasn't mistaken. He sat down in the lounge of JJ Fox's, smoked the Hemingway short story, got up, and bought for £32,000 worth of Fuente cigars. And walked out with suitcases and suitcases of his stuff, which we had to load into his chauffeur-driven car for him to take back. Now, God knows how he got it back into the country, but I can tell you one thing. It's amazing how important a retailer can be in somebody's life. It's amazing how the information, when it's delivered properly, when people are guided in the right way, how that can change everything. You can go from thinking you understand a product to then understanding it extremely differently, only moments later, because the right retailer or the right person has opened your eyes in a certain way to be able to go down that different path. And that was a game changer for me, not because we'd probably made a very important sale in a shop that I worked for, but because it gave me the opportunity to truly understand that the retailers are one of the most important pieces of the chain. They are the ones who are delivering that message to the final consumer. And for me, it was a life changer. And I think we always have to remember that. So ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the day. We have the crazy man which just logged on, Benoit, and this is Benoit's Baked. Benoit?
Hey, Benoit.
Hello, Benoit. Hello, my friend.
Hello, everybody. What's up?
All good.
Hello, Melanie. Hello, Jose. Hello, Carlito. Hello, Jeremiah.
How are you
Wait,
today,
I'm just on
Benoit?
the road. I have to go on the side. Up. Yeah, just there. Tack. Whoop, whoop, whoop. One moment. One moment.
All right,
Voilà, voilà.
make sure you don't crash that car into anybody because
No, voilà. I've stopped. So let's go. Let's go for the joke. Let's go for the joke today. It's a story of Monsieur Dujardin. So Monsieur Dujardin is busy with his tax auditor, contrôleur fiscal.
Yep. That's the equivalent of the IRS in the States.
IRS, okay, IRS. So the IRS is a little bit surprised because Monsieur Dujardin declared 1 million of revenue, but he don't have any job, any work. So the guy asks to Monsieur Dujardin, how is it possible? How do you win so much money? And then Monsieur Desjardins look his tax auditor and say, it's very simple. I bet. You bet? About what? Everything. Sport, politics, anything else. You, for example, I bet $50,000 then your balls are square. What? Yes, $50,000 your balls are square. But it's not possible. Okay, I bet, I accept the bet. Let's go rendezvous to the notary tomorrow. So, tomorrow they go in front of the notary. Notary, c'est bon, Germain? Notary?
Yeah. Let's just pretend that that's a concept that everybody understands.
All right. And then the notary said to the tax auditor, okay, let's go. Show me your balls. Then he dropped off his pants. So there is my balls. Are my balls square? I don't think so. So Monsieur Desjardins, you have to you owe me $50,000. So they leave the room, and the tax auditor look Monsieur Desjardins and say, but I don't understand. You just lost $50,000 and you keep smiling. Why? And the guy say, Monsieur Desjardins say, it's because today I bet with my notary that my tax auditor let this show his balls in front of him. Ta-da!
All right.
See you Friday for the.
See you Friday.
You're welcome. You're welcome. See you Friday for another Happy Fuente Friday. Hope then everybody goes. Oh, sorry. Everybody's fine, and voila. See you Friday. Bye bye, friends.
See you Friday, Benoit. You be well.
Bye bye.
Take care of
Love you.
Be safe. All right, just to make sure, that was a relatively quiet one today for the Tuesdays that it is.
Jeremiah, I'm still trembling, man. I'm still nervous. I got to get this off my chest. I'm worried. How many years ago was it that you made that big sale in London?
Oh my goodness. Probably 1998.
Well, whenever it was, I just pray to God that gentleman enjoyed those cigars. I hate to be on somebody's most wanted list, man. I don't like to be walking down the streets dangerously. I just hope he likes those cigars.
Yeah, no, I understand. But I think he was, from the look on his face when he discovered, in those days, most people in many parts of Europe were just hardcore Cuban smokers. There was nothing else. Non-Cuban cigars didn't really have a presence. They didn't exist in Europe in the early 90s and in the 80s. It was very, very rare. It took years for people to try to change the mentalities. It was an enormous, and as you know very well, Carlito, because you were part of this teachings and the change process and everything that we've gone through together for the past 40 years. But to see somebody's face light up, when he was tasting these mature, fermented, well-assembled tobaccos, I mean, it was just unbelievable to see somebody's face light up like that. I mean, today it's less obvious because more and more consumers anywhere in the world, including in Europe, including in Asia, including in the Middle East, are now big fans of Fuente cigars or let's say the non-Cuban, so to speak, and have now made the step and understood that there's unbelievably well-made products out there, which in many of their own opinions have taken the place of their preferred products. But back in those days, as I'm sure you remember, it wasn't always the case. Remember our little trip to Paris?
I will never forget that one. I thought there was going to be a ballroom fight.
All right, well, we'll explain that one another day because it was a touchy one. All right, Professor, back to you.
It's interesting hearing, we've all shared our memories and things that have happened to us in cigar shops. And I'm going to ask Carlito this one. Carlito, I know that you do a lot of events, and it's not the same as me visiting shops and things like that. But there has to be an event, because I have one that you and I did that we might have that store owner here on the shop, but what has been your most memorable event, a store event that you left it and said, like, to where you were with the sales rep or with Cynthia or with Liana, that you said, like, wow, this was a big surprise for me. And what was so special about the event? Forget about the sales and you had 200 people there and you sold 300 boxes and had to sign so much stuff, but something that you could say like, this was memorable.
No, Jose, honestly, I can't think of one particular event that has been by far the most important or outshined all others. The events I've been to for Cigar Family and doing the events with cigars. But one thing that has really touched my heart, not once, but over and over again, and it's, you know, and it really floors me to think, you know, it's a cigar. It's meant to be enjoyed and smoked. It's just a cigar. To see people for a box of cigars, paying $10,000 for a box of cigars that they could find, not because of the cigar, but because of the cause. And then to see someone else and see that person donate it back to the charity, and someone else match it and give 10,000 and go on and on and on like this. And I see these things, and it, you know, I think to myself, man, it's a cigar. What if one of those cigars don't draw well? Or, you know, I get really nervous because, you know, the money they're paying for, but I come to realize they're not paying for the cigars. They're giving to a cause, and that's just the instrument that brings people together. But there's been so much. But I remember the first time that was an incident that happened. I was not at the event. It was the first night of Nights to Remember in New York City. And Wayne Suarez, my brother-in-law, was there representing me. I was not able to go for some reason, which I don't recall. I think it was actually, I was in the middle of a lawsuit with the Mondavis and Rothschilds. And my attorneys advised me, don't be any place where they could be at or so forth. It was a big event with Marvin Shankin for Cap Cure, Nice to Remember. And we were all supposed to donate something for auction and everything. I donated a box of A's. And I remember the next morning, Wayne Suarez calls me up and he says, Carlito, he says, man, the box of A's did very, very well, man. They're really good. Somebody paid $20,000 for a box. I said, what? Wayne, are you crazy? He said, no, and wait till you hear who it was. One of your favorite personality, Rush Limbaugh. I go, oh my God, Wayne, please, man, don't tell me that. Oh my God, Wayne, what if one of them doesn't draw or burn sideways, man? You see the size thing, man. I don't want to be sucker punched walking down the airport. I remember I literally got scared and I felt guilty and everything. And that's when I learned. Wayne says, Carlito, it's not about the box of cigars, it's about the cause. And my mindset started changing at that moment. I started realizing what cigars could do. And that was the first. And Marvin Shankin was the first who started doing events, you know, these black tie dinners and events to raise money for good causes. I did a lot of them for St. Jude Children's Hospital. And that was one of the most important events of my life when they asked me to chair their 50th anniversary at the Copacabana in New York City, where Danny Thomas started his career. And that wasn't about cigars, but cigars brought me there. And to me, that was one of the most moving and most important events that I've ever been invited to. And it was such a huge honor. And it was through cigars. It was through cigars and relationship and meeting people through cigars. And all these things really started changing the way I see things. It changed me as a human being to realize that I have the responsibility and I have the opportunity to be able to give back through charity and through cigars and so forth, that I have to make the best cigars humanly possible so I could continue to do that. Because there's nothing in life, nothing that gratifies me more than to come back from a cigar event and meet so many big-hearted people that give me so much to help those that are in need. And that's why there's not one, they're all special. Because all of them together, accumulated together, so made a big difference and for so many families, for so many children, that really it's something that I don't know why, but spiritually, I think that this is the reason why God gave us a great brand of cigars, because I don't think that our cigars are anything special or anything much better than anybody else's cigars, but that the man and the opportunity that is given me to embrace people, to be associated with a company from LVMH or with Hublot, and get to meet people from all over the world, and those relationships will continue to multiply and grow. with Stefano Ricci the same way, and meeting the people. We just came back from India, and I met people that'll be friends from India, will be my friends for the rest of my life. And to me, that's what cigars are all about. And this one, Cigar Aficionado, came out in that event. It really started changing my whole mind that cigars were not about just building a business. It was a responsibility. Then it was an opportunity that would help me to reach people and to be able to say that in my life, I was able to make a small difference in this world.
Wow. Well, again, a tribute to Carlito's motto. It's not about cigars, it's about people. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the day. We will all meet up next Friday for Fuente Friday on Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. We have a special guest, Mr. George Brightman, who's coming on Friday. So it's going to be...
George Brightman is known as the Pope. And I don't know if you remember, he was nicknamed the Pope, and a very, very close friend who introduced me to George. George, he was very much involved with the Fuente Opus X project and Project X from Planet 9, and we have a lot of stories. George, we go back a long time. And so I'm looking forward to sharing stories with George. George is, there's a reason they nicknamed him the Pope. So the Pope will be on.
Let me tell you something. To other people that see our show, which I've considered a very unique show, and somebody told me the other day that when I write history in the making, I don't want to brag about it. And we're all humble people here with a little bit of knowledge that we're sharing. But for those who really are cigar geeks, I would invite you not to miss the show, because we're going to be with probably one of the most talented people in the industry. And in my personal opinion, I think that Carlito could testify to this. He probably has one of the best palates that has ever been in the face of the earth. And we're not going to talk a lot about it right now, but tune in on Friday, because you're in for a treat with the one and only Mr. George Brightman.
All right, we're in for a treat with a Pope. Tune in next Friday. And remember, I want to take this opportunity again to thank the colleagues on the show. We haven't done this up to now. It's been several months. We've been airing our beautiful and gracious Melanie Cisco. Melanie, thank you very much for all your contribution.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to be here. So
yes, indeed.
Thank you. The one and
Thank you,
only...
Melanie, for contributing so much to our show. We appreciate it.
The one and only Professor, Mr. Jose Blanco. Jose, you're bringing us knowledge. You're bringing us talent. You're bringing us controversy. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Always a pleasure.
And I think that you were a little bit too generous with Angela, because I don't think she really nailed the Professor. Because actually, I agree with him. He was right.
And then, of course, the father of the industry, Mr. Carlito Fuente. Carlos, thank you very much. The show would be nothing without you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show. We will see you in big numbers this Friday on the Fuente Friday show. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and of others. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye now. God bless all.
Thank you.
See you Wednesday, Friday.